We are live. We're live. We're gonna let some people get some time to tune in. We've just posted the link to tune in on our social media. Mr. Get Your Buzz Up. How was your day?
My day was awesome, man. How about yours?
I can't say the same. Awesome is a strong word.
Well, I've had a good day. My cold's pretty much gone, and I'm not as sore as I could be, so I'm good. And
to me, awesome is, you zip lined through the Amazon and rode a dolphin or something. That's
well, I rode a whale, not a dolphin.
That's awesome. I'll give you that.
So, I heard something in the background. What was that?
Yeah, that's my cat. She wants to live stream with us.
Fair enough.
Okay, so here we go. Anyway, let's get right into it. Welcome back to the new standard, the new industry web show that focuses on independent music topics. My name is DJ Payne One. I'm joined with Mr. Get Your Buzz Up right here live broadcasting, and it's been a while since our first episode, but we're going to start getting back into the swing of things. We had a crazy tour schedule, and we screwed up a lot of these dates. We also planned on having an engineer tonight to address a lot of questions that we received at the last episode about mixing music and some specific technical questions that we can't really answer, given that we're not engineers. But all our engineers were busy, so we're going to try to get an engineer locked in for the next episode. Anyway, some of you might know, if you follow my YouTube videos, I released a kind of, I don't want to say controversial, but a interesting video about artist management, and basically the gist of my video was that the average artist that thinks he or she needs management doesn't actually need management. And I brought up a lot of different points to support that particular premise. But as Mr. Get Your Buzz Up himself is an artist manager, he wanted to pick that topic up again and give us an entirely different perspective on what his opinion of artist management is at the unsigned independent level. So I guess first and foremost, you've seen the video that I released, right?
Yes.
And agree, disagree?
No, I agree with pretty much everything you had to say.
Oh, well, that was easy. All right, so we can move on to a different topic. Anyway, production. No, I'm playing. We'll go back. You wanted to add some specific information and share some of your experiences. Now, why would you say the average rapper, singer, whatever, feels that he or she needs a manager?
Artists and producers, for some reason, always believe that if they get a manager, they will all of a sudden get signed, get on the radio, blow up, do all kinds of things that they're not able to do right this second, which is not true. So I think that's the biggest reason why they want a manager, and the biggest misconception.
So it sounds to me that you're saying artists can get a lot of those things accomplished on their own.
Yeah, correct. Typically, you don't want a manager involved until you really have something to manage. And just because you have to do your own designs or have to book your own shows or book your own studio time, that's not really anything for a manager to manage, because a manager comes on board typically, like I said, when there's something to manage, and then when there's a profit coming in for you to even pay the manager to do their job. So yeah, most of it you could do on your own. You can book your own shows, you can line up your own studio time, you can go out and get your own beats, you can give features. You can do a lot of the promo stuff, social media, everything like that on your own without having somebody else involved.
So when it comes to, I guess, getting deals or getting on major tours, things that the average artist feels are pivotal moments in their career, is that something that a manager can get an artist, or that's what I hear oftentimes? An artist says, I need a deal, but in order to get that deal, I need a manager. I want to get on a major tour, but I can't do it on my own. I need a manager to do that for me. I guess give us the rundown of what a manager really does and doesn't do, and address those misconceptions for us.
Yeah. A manager typically, like I said, the whole basis of a manager is to manage what you got going on. So what type of manager really determines everything. You do have booking managers, you have business managers, you have personal artist managers, and all those things are dope, and they can all work well. Most artists though have one manager who handles a lot of it all in one. So, when you bring on a manager, you want that manager to basically be your voice. You want your manager to be able to talk to venues because you constantly have venues contacting you, or you have promoters contacting you. So now you have a manager that can interact with them and handle the business for you and speak on behalf of you. And so that's really what you want your manager to do, is basically be your voice and speak for you and handle the business, so you can concentrate on doing nothing but making music and doing and handling your social media and doing those kind of things. The problem lies, a lot of artists feel, well, I've done a show, I pushed out an album, now I need a manager. That's not true, because you don't have tons of shows coming in. You don't have a lot of different things going on. So there's nothing for the manager to manage. Typically when I manage artists, I'm handling a multitude of things. I'm making sure that the artist is staying on track, doing their job. I'm making sure that anybody that's on the team is doing their job. I'm making sure that the shows are coming in. I'm making sure I'm working firsthand with the promoters, with the booking agent, or working with the venues to make sure everybody's on task. And then it's my job to set the schedule, make sure that everything is on point, and go from there. I'm basically managing everything. And unless you have a whole lot of things to manage, then it really doesn't make a difference to me. That's why I typically don't work with a lot of up and coming artists, or artists just starting out, because there's nothing for me to manage, and basically I'm just consulting them.
Now, okay, so Shah is high class. He doesn't.
No, I'm not saying that because
up-and-coming artist. I'm sorry to cut in though, but for those of you tuning in, we got Mr. Get Your Buzz Up, aka Shah, discussing artist management, and we're tackling the topic of does an artist need management? Is that necessary for success and for career growth? And bear in mind, this is an interactive broadcast, so you can click on the Q&A area and ask a question. If you have questions about artist management, if you're an artist and you have questions about whether or not you're ready for a manager, what an artist manager should provide, that type of thing, feel free to ask those questions right now, and Shah will address those. So what would you say to an artist when they say that they need a manager? What's a checklist that you could give an artist, just generally speaking, that if they check off those following items, they do in fact need a manager?
I'm not gonna go in any order, so just bear that in mind. You need a budget. I always tell artists you need a buzz and a budget, so you need a budget. You should have a following of at least, I'll be generous, 200 to 500 people in your own area. You that's a pretty good solid number. If you could book a show, not put anybody else on the bill, and it's just your show, and you could bring in 200 to 500 people that are there to just see you do live music. That's a pretty, that would be something to put on the checklist. Um, your 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 social media is booming pretty well. When you put something on your Facebook page, that's your band page, or um, you're getting, tons of people are liking it, tons of people are sharing it, people are commenting on everything. Same thing with Twitter. When you're able to do 20 to 30 shows a year at least, not necessarily tours, but you definitely, people are contacting you, you're contacting other people to do shows. That would be a great starting point to really, that should let you know if you need a manager. And I mean, the biggest thing is when managers start hitting you up. The worst thing you could do as an artist is start contacting managers, asking them if they'll manage you, or things of that nature, because it works the same way as record labels. You don't chase the record labels, let the record labels chase you. It's the same thing with managers. Trust me, if someone's popping in my area or somewhere, or if someone tells me about an artist and they're all the way in Canada or something, trust me, I'm going to do my research, I'm going to find out, and I'm going to see if they need a manager if they don't have one. So, the industry isn't as big as what people think it is. There's different levels to it, of course, but it's really not that big. So if someone's doing something, people are going to pay attention. The other thing I would say is if you're getting on blogs, some sort of website, some type of blogs. I'm not saying you got to be featured on DX, but you're getting some blogs and you're getting some love that way. Those are the biggest things that I would say you might start needing a manager, not just because you released 10 albums or 10 mixtapes and you're getting 200 views on each one. That's really not anything. So those are the biggest thing. That's the checklist I would start considering for management.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to pick up on the topic of getting publicity online through blogs and websites. And we have our first question, and this one's directed at you, and it's from Tahir Brahim, and he wants to know how valuable a publicist can be, and he wants to know if he needs one to get his music to famous blogging sites. And you do PR also, so you're the right man for the job here. And please address that question.
Do you need a publicist? No. If you're able to do it on your own, by all means do it on your own. It'll save you money. The problem usually lies is that you don't have a lot of most artists don't have connections with a lot of websites to start out, and when they put a song out, it's not generating hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube or even millions of views, and so on and so on. So you hire a publicist that has connections to multiple websites to be able to get you on those sites so you can start making the connections. If you do everything right, when someone posts on there, you thank them, you engage with them. You don't tell them, oh, well, if you like this song and you posted this song, check out my new record. No, you engage with them. You let them know that you appreciate what they're doing, and you slowly build a network like that. Even the smallest blog can be a big deal for you especially at the beginning stages. So, and what's the other part? I need one to get my music. And do you need one to get to famous blogging sites? Yeah, to get on DX, Two Dope Boys, it's always. I think a PR would help, unless you're just banging out views like crazy on YouTube or on SoundCloud, Audio, whatever you want to, whatever outlets you're using. But yeah, if you're starting out, I always recommend a PR person or a consultant of some kind. Just make sure you do your research. The worst thing you could do is shell out tons of money into a PR person that doesn't know what they're doing, or they're ripping you off.
And the other problem, and let me add to that, because I've worked with PR people, and I've also, to an extent, reached out to blogs and websites myself. And a lot of times when I reach out to the blogs personally and just start a person-to-person interaction with them, not asking them right away for a favor, not asking them right away to take my music, but just starting a conversation with them. Usually that helps, and I do have a video about that. But now that's all the happy, let's all hug and high five each other stuff. The dark side of all this is, I'll ask you this question. Do you ever notice that on these bigger blogs, you're seeing a lot of the same artists represented over and over again? You don't tend to see a whole bunch of newcomers just out of nowhere, and that's because these blogs, like any other musical outlet now, are generating money based on the traffic that they receive. So if they're posting just anybody, and the artists that they're posting don't have fans, then what they're doing is shooting themselves in the foot, because they're not giving their audience what they want. And what you need to do is get to the point where you as an artist can attract fans to these blogs. Otherwise, what's their incentive for posting you? So if you're an artist that, and I just put this out, a video too recently, where I basically said this is the best advice I can give any aspiring artist. It's fans first and support second. So if you don't already have the fans first, don't expect support from the blogs, because you can pay all the money in the world to a publicist. And listen to what I'm saying here, because if you meet a publicist that is guaranteeing you a spot on these huge blogs, you want to be skeptical, because you can pay these publicists as much money as you have made in your lifetime. And if they send it to the blogs aren't guaranteed to add your music. They're not. They control their own content. All that you're paying the PR person to do is to exploit their relationship with the bloggers and with the sites. So keep that in mind. And as a cautionary tale, I've seen a lot of people, and artists I've worked with have done this too. Spend money on a publicist, and either the music's just not right for the blogs, or the time isn't right, or the fan base isn't big enough for the blogs to have an incentive to post it, and basically that's just money out the window. So it's a tough world. It's just because, I mean, blogs are the new industry right now. They are the new industry. So as hard as it is to penetrate the labels and that whole world, it's similar with the blogs. And just like Mr. Get Your Buzz Up said earlier, if you're not generating a big buzz on your own, and fans aren't demanding you, well, the labels aren't going to seek you out, and the blogs aren't going to seek you out. So you really have to create a demand for yourself before you can expect all the love in return, and all the support and all the publicity. So just be careful. When we're talking about hiring publicists, we're talking about a lot of money here. So as Mr. Get Your Buzz Up said, do your research, but also be realistic and really understand how the game goes, and see if that's an expense that you're willing to take on and that you think will have some type of good return for you.
Yeah, I concur with everything you said. I think, is Jordan talking to, I'm guessing Jordan is talking to me, because they can just wiki you and find out who you work with. I'm gonna take it. Who have I worked with? Is it cool if I answer that before we go ahead with your side?
Yep, it's on the queue.
All right. Well, I manage I-20 from DTP. That's Ludacris's label. I'm actually DJ Pain One's booking manager. I work with a up-and-coming Hmong rapper, singer, basically a pop star in the making, David Yang. I also manage an artist named Rickaby. He's working on material right now. He's got 3 projects, and we're just basically putting everything together. I've managed a lot of different artists and done a lot of work with a multitude of artists. I know I can't announce it yet, but I know I'm gonna be coming on as a tour manager for a female artist and working more hands-on with her. But that'll be pretty big. She's a pretty well-known artist. As far as consulting and PR, I've done stuff for Waka, Paul Wall, DJ Pain One, of course, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of independent artists, and I place people on Double XL, and the list goes on. But yeah, that's what I've worked with. So.
Cool. I haven't worked with anybody. And to switch gears, because this is a good segue. We're talking about being realistic, and really, for recording artists, looking at your fan base and then deciding how you want that to affect your management situation, your publicity situation, and so forth. And recording artists aren't the only ones who want to know about management and who want to know about blowing up and getting big and going major. Producers want that all the time. As you can see, a lot of people are asking questions about production. And for example, Michael Howlett, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, he wants to know how, as a producer, he can get his beats out there for artists. Now, a year or two ago, I put out a video called How to Get Beats to Artists, and I want to kind of revise what I said in that video. Basically, I just gave you the tips to get the beats out there. But as we all know, if you're a producer that's been doing this for a while, you know that after a certain point, sending beat after beat after beat to all these inboxes, it gets annoying, because number one, you might not be hearing back. Number two, you're probably not getting feedback. And number three, if you're not getting picked, it can be discouraging. If you're getting picked and not getting paid, it can be discouraging. If your records are getting leaked and you're not getting credit or money, or you're not being included in the process either, on top of all that, then it sucks, and that's happening to a lot of us. So what I want to talk about basically is how to avoid getting caught in that rut. We've all been caught in that rut, and there's a lot we can do. And what I personally would like to see more of is producers treating themselves as Ray, you're a fool. Let me close this window, because people are asking these dumbass questions and trying to make me laugh, and it worked. You got me. What was I saying? So what I want to see more of is artists really producers treating themselves as though they were solo acts, rather than just trying to get beats placed on major projects, because this is what a lot of producers want to do. They make some beats, you know, they've been doing it for a couple years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and I get these questions all the time. How do I get beats to major artists? Pain One, you got a track with Jeezy, you got a track with Meek Mill. How can I get that? And if you want to know the answer to that question, or one answer to that question, check my YouTube page, youtube.com/JacksonWonderful, or you can just search DJ Pain One getting beats to recording artists, because I have a video that addresses that topic in a very straightforward manner. But what I want to say now, and it's not so straightforward, and I want to ask everybody a question. The producers that are asking, how do I get my beats to major label artists? I want to ask you this. Why do you feel you need to get beats to major label artists now? We're involved in a business that's changing so rapidly, to the point where the environment of the new industry is such that people are really, artists on an independent level are defining the musical landscape and taking their careers into their own hands. And the industry establishment, the labels, the radio, they're chasing after the artists, because the artists have direct access to all of the people. And you see producers now doing the same thing, mostly in EDM, but then you have a lot of other producers such as Illmind or Clams Casino or Cardiac, a lot of them who are crossing over and doing what the EDM producers are doing, releasing instrumental projects, releasing drum kits. I just released a drum kit. It was great idea. I'm glad I did it. Shout out to Illmind. He convinced me the last time I hung out with him that would be a good idea, and it was. So personally, this is my opinion for aspiring producers that really have yet to break into the industry or are just right there knocking on the door. Do what you can where you are. Instead of going from 0 placements and 0 connections and then trying to jump all the way up to the level of a Mike Will, instead of doing that, build a foundation for yourself as a producer. And there are a lot of hungry artists out there that you can meet and you have access to, either in your city, in your area, in your circle, or online. They may not be big now. They may just kind of be bubbling up. But then again, if you're not big, then that might be a good connection. And work with them. Release some projects. It's great to release projects with artists that you're seeing eye to eye with, because then you really have a chance to produce. It's not just a matter of you sending an artist a beat and then hoping that they like it and then them recording to it and releasing it and then excluding you from the process. If you're working with an artist directly, you have way more input and you can really showcase yourself as a producer. And I noticed that Harry Fraud, for example, has done a lot of that. And he was just, this was before French Montana was huge. That was the first time I heard about Harry Fraud. And granted, he still had a record deal, but there's nothing stopping the rest of us from, as producers, picking up an artist and releasing projects. And if that artist gets hot or if that project gets some attention, guess who else gets some attention? That producer. And so you just work your way up. Also, and I've put this in videos too, there are ways to get your music and your beats out there and generate attention to your beats without begging. YouTube, uploading some instrumentals to YouTube, creating the right kinds of tags. YouTube is the #1 source for new music for people, period, across the board. So with beats, it's the same way. You got a lot of rappers going on YouTube looking for instrumentals. So the internet is a wide open field where producers can get their shine and producers can control their own careers and carve their own lane out, just like artists are doing, just like guys like Euros or Snow the Product or Mark Battles, just like they're doing, because they've been doing this for a long time and they've been utilizing the internet in some really innovative ways. So there's nothing stopping producers from doing the exact same thing. And Mark Mr. Get Your Buzz Up just let me know that I have green nails. Do we want to talk about why my nails are green? Do you want to tell the story?
I don't have any reason to tell the story. I mean, you just got some green fingernails, and I just thought you should know about it. I think if they ask the question on why you have green fingernails, then by all means answer it. But I mean, I think there's more pressing questions to be answered than why your fingernails are green right now. I mean, if maybe that's just you, homie. I mean, it's not my job to judge. We're people's.
Yeah. You got red French tips. We can't see them. He's not gonna show them. But yeah.
No, I don't.
Oh, you removed them.
No clouded me, sir.
No, I have 3 green fingernails because we drove back from an event up north, and Mr. Get Your Buzz Up's 10-year-old daughter was in the car, and I had my arms like this behind the seat, and she decided she wanted to paint my fingernails. So those are the joys of traveling with a kid. Anyway, let's get to some of these questions. Enough about
questions
about cosmetics. Check this out. Joan Jones. This is an off-topic question, but I was wondering what you think about selling leases on sites such as SoundClick for as little as $20 and whether or not pricing this low should be avoided. I'm not going to do that, but you can do it. I mean, I do lease beats. There's nothing wrong with leasing beats. I'm not so keen on the whole, get 12 beats for $4.99, because I think it devalues the product as a whole, and we're just racing to the bottom. It's the same reason why people are against importing cheap products from countries in which workers aren't given a fair wage. Not to get political, but it's really the same concept of us undercutting each other. So I personally am not cool with super low prices on beats, because the value of a beat is only as high as we make it as the creators of it. But leasing, I mean, $20 isn't unheard of for a lease, and if you got to make your money, you got to make your money. The thing is, you just have to be aware of the value of your product, and as your value increases, as you work with more artists, bigger artists, as your beats get better, then don't be afraid to raise that price. The worst thing you could do is be known as the guy leasing beats for $20, because if you lease enough tracks for $20, 5 years from now, people are still going to be thinking of you as the $20 lease guy, and then you're going to have a pain in the ass when it comes to making more money on your beats. But no, a lot of people ask me if leasing is a good or a bad thing. I don't think it's either. I mean, it's a way to make money. Just do what feels right. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. Next question. How can we perfect our mixing and mastering from subjectivity to objectivity? That was from Muhammad. And I'm not going to answer that question because we don't have an engineer in the building. We really wanted to, precisely for this reason. So the next episode, I can almost promise we're going to have a professional engineer in here to answer those types of questions. Okay, Ray, I filmed a vlog about that Stitches Brick in Your Face music video. It got 2,000 views in a week and got me 2 new customers for exclusive beats. Just wanted to shed light on a YouTube promotional technique that helped me. Cool. So, my man Ray Beats is using the internet to get publicity, and not in the most conventional way. He's vlogging, and he's vlogging about something other than his beats, but the fact that his popularity, his branding is growing, he can direct that attention back to him as a producer and sell beats, and I think that's important too. A lot of us are just so focused on the beats, and check out my beats, listen to my beats, buy my beats, do you like my beats, what do you think of my beats, why is no one buying my beats, beats. But there's a lot of other stuff we can do to draw attention to ourselves and to strengthen our brand, and the stronger our brands get, the better our shot of attracting customers to purchase our beats is. What else? Do you see any questions you want to answer, Mr. Get Your Buzz Up?
Yeah, I seen 2. Who is that? Shared Robinson? Oh no, wait a minute.
Shenrik?
Wait a minute.
I just put it up. I got it. It's about the entertainment lawyer, not entertaining lawyer. I have an entertaining lawyer.
No, that wasn't it. But that was the second one I was going to answer. But the only thing I was going to say about an entertainment lawyer is that, I mean, and you can speak on this one probably more in depth, is, at least for an artist, at the early stages, I mean, I don't see what you would need an entertainment lawyer for. You could do a lot of the things on your own. If you are worried about split sheets and contracts, I mean, you should be learning about the business stuff anyway. If you're an artist, one of the biggest things you got to learn is the music business. You just can't just be ignorant in this business. You gotta get as much knowledge as possible to help you out, because once you decide you want to be an artist full time, you're basically becoming your own business. So you want to figure out as much as possible. So you should understand how to read contracts to a certain degree, learn how to do split sheets, do a lot of different things. So at the early stages, I really don't see what you need an entertainment lawyer for, at least on the artist aspect.
Yeah, I think if you are at the point where you need an entertainment lawyer, you'll know. There's no point in paying a retainer to an entertainment lawyer if he or she isn't needed. But it's never bad to know of one, because you never know what can happen, and I would never in a million years recommend that a artist who isn't well versed in law, especially entertainment law, I never recommend that they sign their own agreements, depending on what the agreement is. A booking agreement is one thing, a sync license agreement is another. But especially for producers, if you're working with a major label, get an entertainment lawyer. If you're signing any type of distribution deal or record deal as an artist, get an entertainment lawyer. They're expensive, but mistakes are far more expensive. So what's the question that you wanted to answer?
Okay, it's Ray Ray Beats. So I'm cooking up some original heat, and I want to start a career as a touring artist. Or do you just want to put it up top and then?
Can't you put it up top, or no, you can't?
No, I can't. So
okay, it's up top, and I don't think that's from Ray Ray. That's from Samuel.
Oh, okay, my bad. Well, I no longer see it, so
it's up there. It's up top.
Oh, there we go. So I'm cooking up some original heat and want to start a career as a touring artist no later than next summer. What approach should I take for getting shows and releasing music? I have 7 all original songs that are heat. Should I release EPs or LP? Great question. So what? He didn't want to start a career as a touring artist no later than. So basically, I think we talked about this on our last show. One of the big things you want as a artist that's trying to do shows is an EPK. That's an electronic press kit. Those are really big. I always recommend Sonic Bids. That's sonicbids.com. But you can create your own. You can make it at other places. Sonic Bids is just the cleanest one, and plus, most of the music festivals and big events only take Sonic Bid press kits. So that's just me. After that, if you're going to tour within your area to start out with. If this is your first tour and you live on the East Coast, you might want to do just an East Coast tour. Don't get overly ambitious with it. I mean, if you live in New York, if you live in Manhattan, okay, do one show in Manhattan and then work the area in New York and try to stay on the East Coast, because tours are expensive. It's not cheap. I would also recommend maybe doing Indiegogo or Kickstarter to try to raise money if you have a following that will donate money like that, because everything costs money. The gas, the tolls are insane. Food, hotels, everything costs. So you want to do that. You want to have merchandise. As far as EPs or LP, if this is your first release, especially, I always recommend an EP to get people warmed up. If your fans aren't used to spending money on your music, then I would definitely go the EP route, just to give them a taste, start getting them used to buying your music, and then see what you do, and then that will dictate what you do after that. If you come out with an album and sell 100 copies, and that's your first release, and you're just a brand new artist, that's a pretty good start. Is it the greatest start? No, but it's a pretty good start. You made money off your music, and now you can start paying for merch. Now you can maybe decide to go for an album. If you sell 1 EP, 2, 5, something like that, you might want to grind a little bit harder and do a mixtape or something. That one's hard to say. I just always recommend EP first, and just to warm up for the album, and it'll sort of tell you. People might just buy one track, that might let you dictate, what you kind of want to do for your album. So, yeah.
And releasing an EP or trying to crowdfund your tour is a good indicator of how successful your tour is going to be. If you release an EP and it sells 5 copies, or if you start a Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign to fund your tour and you only make $35, maybe you might want to stay home. If you sell 100 to 200 copies of your EP and you generate $1,000 on your crowdfunding campaign for your tour, cool, hit the road. Because if people are willing to support you beforehand, they're definitely going to be willing to support you during the tour. Next question. Has DJ Payne One ever considered collabing on something from Unfinished Fridays? Yeah. I've done it before. Sometimes, for those of you who don't know, producers, I have this thing on my Facebook where on Fridays I'll release a partially finished beat that I started, and then I'll just release the WAV file of the beat, and then producers can rework it and create their own beat out of it. And there have been a couple times where there have just been some producers that have taken what I put out there and just made insane beats, and then I've contacted them and say, oh, I'm working on this project, that would be perfect for this, or do you mind if I mix this a little better and send it out and see what can happen. Nothing crazy's happened yet, but it's a cool way for people to collab. And I love the Unfinished Friday concept because you have so many people listening working on the same thing, and it's great to hear someone else's take on the same thing that you just got finished working on, because you get a lot of new ideas from people, and it's good for me, and it's good for my my Facebook fans and supporters. It's really cool, and people have a lot of good conversation, and it's positive. It's not us fighting amongst ourselves as producers. It's a lot of support and constructive criticism and compliments. But to answer the question, yes. What else? As a producer, do you think this is from AO23, as a producer, do you think it's more important to develop your own sound or be able to create multiple genres? I think it's if you can develop your own sound and it's good and it catches on, then that's way better. I personally create multiple genres, and that's kind of a gift and a curse, because it's a gift because I'm versatile, but it's a curse because if I had a super unique signature sound that, I mean, I'm told I have a signature sound, I just don't know if it's as strong as, say, like a Mike Will or a who else is or Cardiac or someone like that, where the second you hear that beat, you know that that's them. I kind of blend in, so it's good and it's bad. So I would say if you can develop your own sound that's totally unique and it's hot and it catches on, then you're in a great position. Let's see.
There was a question about the blogs in there. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, we're getting a bunch of questions coming in.
Yeah, in terms, who is this? Is this Jordan? No. Marco Ruiz Camacho, is that his question about the blog?
Yep. And it's
okay. All right. Let's see. In terms of submitting the blogs, do you think it's wise for a completely unknown artist to pay a small fee for a blog to post their stuff if the blog has a semi-decent following? I submitted to a blog and they said they'd post my stuff for $10 fee. This was a tough one. I know it took me a while to figure out what things would get your buzz up, because when I took over Get Your Buzz Up, we were focused more on showcases than the blogs, and I thought it would be beneficial to charge, and I realized really quickly I didn't like how that system went, mainly because I manage artists as well, and I would hate to have to come back and tell my artists every time they want to get on a blog they got to pay for it. So I would say use your best judgment and don't believe what they say their following is. Like, you can look it up. Like, there's way to look.
Here. Check this out. Write this down. We're gonna put you on the game right now. Write this down. STATSHOW.com. Statshow.com. Go to statshow.com, plug in any website, any URL to a blog or music website, and it will tell you how much traffic, how many unique visitors they get per day, and it's an estimate, but it's a good estimate. So do your research.
Yeah, definitely don't believe them. Like, blogs will lie and websites will lie, but as you know, numbers don't. And so make sure you definitely check that out. I always recommend pay a PR person. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if it's not a big enough blog, you can network with it. Like, you'll be able to hit them up and do things like that. And then look what it says to submit. If they tell you how to submit, then submit to the site. If they like your music, they're gonna post it.
There are a ton of emerging blogs out there too.
Yeah.
And some of them might get 60 to 500 hits a day, but if you can network with 10 of those, then that's a lot. You know, just keep doing that, and then from that 10, go to 20, and then every time you have a release, you know, make sure that you're keeping tracks of which blogs supported you, and go back to those ones, and then expand the list from there. There's a lot you can be doing. You don't have to shoot right to the hot new hip hops or the Two Dope Boys right away. You just build up to that, because the blogging community, they watch.
Close.
Yeah, they watch. One person watches what the other's doing. As a matter of fact, we're getting a lot of questions about blogs. Mr. Get Your Buzz Up, would you like to bring on an expert that we both know for an upcoming episode?
Sure. Which expert are we speaking about? I know quite a few now.
His name rhymes with Nike.
Oh yeah,
Happy.
yeah. I could talk to him. Yeah,
yeah, because I do a lot of
and I mean
stuff for him.
This is something that what people don't know, but it's something we're working on. Is, you know, a lot of the blogs now, there's hundreds of us networking and working together now, and you know, basically, you know, coming together to join forces is the best way to say it. So we all talk to each other, we all network with each other, but that doesn't mean, saying that doesn't mean that we can automatically put your music on there. And that's something I wanted to say, is don't get discouraged if you're not getting placed on these sites. Like, I've had interviews placed on DX and in some of these major sites, and not every one of my interviews go on there. It's just about the content that's there, and so it takes time. I mean, there's people that work with the websites that also work with artists that can't get their artists on there all the time. So it's the daily grind, and it's the network. So, you know, I guess to answer your question, I wouldn't pay the $10, but it's kind of up to you after you check their stats and all that. Is it worth it? And then, like I said, you're better off hiring a PR person and then going from there and seeing where that lands you.
And put it into perspective, because some of these bigger blogs are getting 50,000 to 200,000 hits a day. So if a site that's only getting 500 to 2,000 wants to charge you for a placement, you got to assume that only a small fraction of those visitors are going to see your content once it's posted. So just have that honest conversation with yourself once you've done the research. Our man Jonathan has asked a question, and this is a perfect question for you, because I always see you cussing out a certain engineer that you manage about promoting and branding himself. So would you care to answer this question? If you are an engineer, can you apply some of these same strategies? And we're talking about the branding and marketing.
Yes. Okay. I know an engineer that's mixed records for Ludacris and Lil Bibby, and I mean, the list really, I-20, the list goes on. And I yell at him all the time, like Payne said, about marketing themselves. What Payne does on YouTube, engineers can do the same thing. You can, like, he comes up with different ways to promote himself on YouTube and puts up beats, or he gives tips. Engineers can do the same thing. You could he puts up the records that he produced. You could put up the records that you mixed. That's great. That's a great way to promote yourself and let people know. If someone knows you mixed a track for Ludacris, or someone knows you mixed a track for Lil Bibby or King L or Juicy J, whatever it may be, underground, independent, unsigned, whatever you want to say, up and coming artists will want to work with you, because obviously you know what you're doing. So yes, go on social media, be on Twitter, be on Facebook, go on YouTube, create a movement, create a website so you can tell people your prices so everybody can see what your prices are, or easy way to contact yourself or contact you, I'm sorry, and just promote yourself like crazy. Your engineers are no different than artists and producers. You are like needed in this game. If someone doesn't, someone can have the best beat possible, have dope lyrics, and if it's not mixed correctly, it's the wackest song ever. I will throw it away quickly, and so will anybody else because it's not mixed right. If you're not taking the time to get it mixed right, then what's the point? So yes, promote yourself heavily, 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 heavily.
All right, we have time for maybe two more questions. This next one is from Ray Ray Beats. It is, what's a good statistic to judge my fan base by? Downloads, Facebook likes, YouTube views. And that's an interesting question because you do have a lot of artists out there. Number one, download numbers, Facebook likes, YouTube views, those can all be forged. And I'm not saying that that's what you're doing. But there are artists out there that buy followers and buy downloads and buy views. And then when they book a show for themselves, it's almost as if they start believing in the lie, and they wonder why only 5 people showed up. It's like, oh, I got 20,000 followers on Twitter. Why didn't they come to support me at the show? Well, it's because those people aren't real, and people that don't exist can't go to a venue, and they can't buy drinks, and they can't put their hands up in the air when you tell them to. So, before I go any further, let me just say you have to be realistic about your numbers. I mean, even if I'm not here to criticize people for buying followers or whatever, but just don't believe the lie yourself. If you bought 20,000 followers and you have 22,000 followers, you really only have 2,000 followers, and followers aren't necessarily fans. So it's I say that to say this, it's complicated judging your fan base, and especially off of the internet, because for example, I have 20,000 Facebook likes. Cool. I'm cool with that number. It's not a bad number. But does that mean that if when I go on the road, I'm going to get 20,000 people in through the door? Does that even mean I'm going to get 10% of that, 200 people in through the door? No, not necessarily. Why is that? Well, because number one, I don't know where those fans are concentrated. Well, I do actually, because I can look up the statistics, and what I find is that they're all over the planet. Europe, Africa, all over the United States, South America. So it's tough to look at those numbers and really see them in a way that's not abstract. So my thing would just really be, if you're an artist, it depends on what your goals are. If you're an artist and you're focusing on a tour, then you have to really be aware of where your fan base is. So if you're an artist in the Midwest, make sure your fan base is in the Midwest. Otherwise, don't go on a Midwest tour. If your whole fan base is in Japan, find some way to connect with someone in Japan that's a promoter. But in terms of numbers, I'd say downloads are a good indicator for your music, but so are purchases. So I would say, to get a clear view of what your fan base looks like and how they behave and how supportive they are of you, release the free music, go through all that, and release the videos, get your views up, get your followers up and everything. But then release a commercial project and see how it does. Because true fans really support the artists that they're fans of. So if you have 2,000 fans and only 5 of them buy your album, maybe you don't have 2,000 fans. But if you have 2,000 fans and 1,000 buy your album, okay, you have fans. But it depends on your own ideas of success, and it depends on your goals, and what you plan on doing with your fan base and how you interact with them and where they're concentrated. And the cool thing about at least Facebook is that their analytics are pretty good. They'll tell you where most of your likes are coming from, where most of your traffic is coming from. If you have a website, you can definitely track your traffic. So the more information that you look at, the better of a picture you'll have of who your fans really are, where they are, what kind of behavior they exhibit, and so forth. Last question. You want to pick this one, Sha?
Yeah. Why no Ray Ray collab? No, I'm just joking.
I was gonna punch you.
How can I promote? How much feel? Man, there's a lot of dope questions. This one's: is there a convention for the contract between the beat maker and the manager? What is the best way to say beats? Okay, here we go. See here, Brahim, I believe. That looks like a good question. At least one that I can answer. Did you already put it at the top?
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Or no, it's by, or is it by AO20? No, it's by Tahir Me. Here we go.
Raheem.
Tahir Brahim.
I thought you said Raheem. I'm like, there's no. I was looking for R.
No, my bad. When you pick an artist to develop, how do you manage them? Oh, whoa, you moved it. Okay. When you pick an artist to develop, how do you manage the money side? Monetize the songs and share the proceeds, or just act as if it were simply a sale of service and compositions? Might be a dumb question. So when I pick an artist to develop, how do I manage the money side? Very, very easily. If I don't want to manage them and I'm just basically consulting them, I keep it pretty simple. I charge $75 an hour for consulting, and if they hire me as a publicist, as their PR person, I do consulting for free. Some PR people won't do that. To me, I just feel like if I'm doing PR, I should want to do the best job consulting, so you become the best artist you can be. So it helps, so I can do the most for you. Because if you happen to go platinum, who's going to get some of the credit? Why? Business 101. It makes the most sense. If I'm managing an artist, then typically 15-20% of what they're making, everything can be, negotiable. So, I can't even say the word. Everything can be worked out. So I see you smiling. I had a shy moment, but everything can be worked out. But 15-20%, shows, merchandise, whatever's being sold, whatever we're doing, whatever gets worked out. But yeah. Now the other question: monetize the songs and share the proceeds, or just act as if it was simply a sale of service and compositions? I don't. Bane, could you help a brother out? I don't know exactly what he's trying to get at there.
It sounds to me that he's just asking what income you have a claim to as the manager, and
oh yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, it just varies. I've had management deals where, I got a large claim on a lot because I'm doing everything as a manager. There is no business manager. There is no booking manager. I'm doing it all. So that means if, when they sell their music or whatever, there could be a percentage. Now, do all managers have that? No. It just varies. It all just varies on what you work out with your manager and what you feel comfortable with. Don't be scared. If a manager says, this is what I do and that's it, then that's obviously not the manager you want to work with. Every manager should be able to give a little to a certain extent, unless you got Puff Daddy's management team coming to manage you, you may not have much say so. If Rock Nation comes down and wants to manage you, you may not have much say so. But if you're to that point, you should be able to ask for something. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Everything can be worked out. Don't let anybody bulldog you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what the manager's done. I've done a lot in my career, but I can't bulldog an artist, you know, to take the deal I want them to take. No, let's work it out so everybody's happy, so we can keep working and move forward.
Cool. I'd like to thank everybody for participating. This is only our second episode, and it's definitely our biggest episode in terms of viewership.
Yeah.
So as promised, our next episode will include a special guest, either a professional engineer or somebody who works with some pretty major blogs. We're going to work on getting one of them, and of course we'll be posting the information as to when the next episode will be broadcast on our respective social media outlets. So tune into those. Follow me at DJ Payne1 on Twitter. Follow Mr. Get Your Buzz Up at Mr. Get Your Buzz Up on Twitter, and stay tuned, and we'll let you know when the next episode is. Until then, all the artists, producers, aspiring industry professionals, much success to you. Good luck. Peace.
Peace.